Hey, welcome to BSP TV. I'm Kevin Gammy. Really excited to have with me Jesse, and I've forgotten your surname, Jesse.
Ivanov.
Easy for you to say. Now, from Workplace Wisdom. Now, the reason I've got Jesse on, there's so many different government incentives to help people employ people all around recovery out of either our COVID-led recession or the recession, whatever you want to call it. But it's really important that we get on top of these so that we can actually understand, are we eligible to get the government to support us in hiring new staff? So without any further ado, hey, Jesse, how are you going?
Good, thank you, Kevin. How are you?
I'm really well. Now, Workplace Wisdom, tell us a little bit about Workplace Wisdom.
Well, we're very much a bespoke business that cater and provide employee-related matters to small business community. So effectively, we cover the full range of the employment cycle, from recruitment through to termination, through to performance management, and making sure we upskill small business owners in that area.
And as you said, it's all about empowering the organisation to do this better, rather than when you talk about recruitment, you're not a recruitment agency, but you actually help train staff to recruit better.
Correct. And we're very much about ensuring that you have ongoing skills so that you don't need people like me to, you're not wasting another expense on a continuous basis. It's very much a short-term project so that you have those required skills for the future and you can build on that base.
Fantastic. Now, JobMaker, huge fanfare over it. Is it all it's possible to be?
Well, I think it's going to be an additional subsidy in the same vein as JobKeeper 2.0. And in fact, it's just going to be another version of subsidy, which obviously has its requirements and relative framework to work with. But yes, I think it's going to be a good benefit for people that can take advantage of it.
Fantastic. Now, we've been discussing, it's very, very date-driven. So you got some information for us in relation to that?
Yeah, I have. So just to make it more visual and easy for people to understand, I've made these small placards, of which I'll put up later in both the directory and the Facebook page. But I firstly want to point out that there is a Senate report. You might have read about this coming out in the 6th of November to 20. Don't get too excited about it, because initial reports are saying they're just going to clarify the language rather than change the framework. Okay, so if you're thinking and you're hoping that they're going to change eligibility criteria, it's not necessarily going to be that, even though there's some discussion around discrimination against older workers.
Absolutely, and that's been one of the big challenges associated with the whole program so far, is that, hey, you get a greater incentive for young people and then a little bit less for people, but cuts out at 35 years old.
Yeah.
We really need to try and get everyone back into work.
Yeah, indeed. And just a reminder that JobKeeper 2.0 does end on the 28th of March 21. So you want to have a look at what's going on with this JobMaker program to ensure that you have continuity of some form of wage subsidy if possible.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. So great help there. So tell us a little bit more.
Okay, sure. So let's have a look at some of the overall framework of the JobMaker scheme. It's coming into place effectively on the 1st of February 21, but it's already started in terms of you can start employing people from the 7th of October this year. The key element, though, it's going to be quarterly in arrears subsidy. So you need to have those 3 months first before you start to claim.
So basically, if you employed someone on the 7th of October, and let's just for the sake of that, so there's 13 weeks, if they were $100 a week subsidy person, you'll get the $1,300 back when you're putting in. Basically, that seems to be aligned with your BAS statement.
Yes.
You'll get the rebate at that time.
Yeah, there will be a formal application on the ATO website, but they will also cross-reference all that information that you already have with the ATO.
Fantastic.
One element, even though it's a 12-month scheme, if you were to have an eligible employee employed as of this date, 6th of October 2021, you'll still receive payments for that scheme for another 12 months.
Fantastic, because that was one of the big questions that I had was, hey, so if you employ them 6 months in, you only get 6 months support, but no, you get the 12 months support. Fantastic.
Yeah. So, you know, some people may, in fact, get up to 2 years. So that's the value of this scheme.
Oh, okay. So if they're employed on the 6th of October and continue to be employed, you'll keep getting the funding further on.
Yeah.
Awesome work.
Okay. So what is the subsidy itself? It's $200 per week for an employee that's aged between 16 and 29 years inclusive, but up to a maximum of $10,400. Okay. Then it's $100 a week for a 30, 35-year-old, maximum $5,200.
Cool. So with that, how many hours a week minimum?
20. So there'll be eligibility requirements for an employee. So they need to also work at least 20 hours a week.
So if they're working 20 hours a week, do you get the full rebate or the full rebate? Or is
You'll get the full rebate, yes. And I'll put up those details as well, because it's the budget summary is about 11 pages.
That's why I'm learning as we're going. That's why I'm asking all the questions.
I'll highlight all the key points in there as well, and reference to the actual budget papers, so that there is clarification. But there's always the opportunity, just for your situation, is to give me a call, and I'll take you through that as well. Okay.
Absolutely.
One key criteria. So let's go through what the eligibility requirements are for the employer, more so than the employee, because that's important. So if you're currently on JobKeeper, you won't be eligible for this. So you have to finish your JobKeeper subsidy before you are eligible for the JobMaker subsidy.
So if I'm on JobKeeper now, but come off in December, but I've employed someone in November, can I start claiming for that person then, or I can't start claiming? Like I can't.
You won't be able to start claiming until this is finished. So it's going to be effectively a double up, as they start to say, or a double dip. But certainly, if you've got the ability to start, I mean, first and foremost, you have to look at whether you can afford to employ and whether you need to employ, and that should be the overriding factor. Then we get the subsidies to suit you. So at the moment, if you're still on JobKeeper, you still employ somebody, they'll still continue to get the JobKeeper 2.0. And the JobMaker, once you come off JobKeeper, will kick in potentially.
Fantastic.
So the other, you must be it's really important to keep a record of all the hours anyway. From the Fair Work Ombudsman always recommends that. Obviously, these are obvious, but this is really part of the criteria. You must have an ABN. All your tax lodgement obligations must be up to date. You need to be PAYG registered. And just as importantly these days, you need to have single touch payroll. So all that has to be in place before you're eligible.
Fantastic. Yep.
And this is another key date for eligibility. There has to be a net increase to your headcount from the 30th September of this year. So if you've got 10 employees at this date, that becomes your reference number. So the net increase then has to be at least 1. So it needs to be 11 on the next day.
So if you're going from 1 to 2, or if you're going from 5 to 6, that's okay. But if you were at 5, you've dropped the staff off and you hire someone new, you're not qualified yet.
That's right. It's not for staff replacement. It's total headcount at this particular date.
Fantastic.
And they will reference that with your payroll data as well. So they will have a look at your payroll data for the 3 months prior to this date to make sure that the payroll itself has also increased. So there's lots of checks and balances that the ATO now have direct access to. So you need to be ensured that that's all in place when you make the application.
Oh, excellent. Yep.
Okay. Now, here are a couple of other key dates. You can register online, like everything these days. We're registering online. You register it on 7th of December this year, and then you can start submitting your claims on the 1st of February next year. Okay.
So it's for anyone that started after the 7th of October that increases your headcount. You can start registering from the 7th of December. So they're giving themselves a bit of time to get the IT right behind this, fortunately. But the claims won't start until the 1st of February 21.
Correct. Yeah, you won't be able to start claiming until this. That doesn't mean you shouldn't start employing if it works for you.
Absolutely.
All right. And then I do want to suggest that whilst it's a good program, and you may not be eligible both from the employee perspective and the employer's perspective, you may want to have a look at other wage subsidies that are out there for you if you haven't already claimed. So in Queensland, there's a up to 20,000 back to work program. There's apprentices programs as well. But the federal government also has up to 10,000 for 15 to 29-year-olds, Indigenous Australians, and those on 50 plus, as well as.
So these could be used, they can't be used at the same time as the job maker. But if you're not eligible for JobMaker, you might be able to find eligibility under one of these, yeah?
Well, I'll clarify that, because JobMaker is linked to JobKeeper. Whether these subsidies apply, look, I'll clarify that and put it on the website for you.
Absolutely. I know there's some restrictions there, but as I said, my knowledge is
all in relation to JobKeeper rather than other subsidies, because other people are getting different subsidies based on the qualification criteria, including these ones, because these are all pre-JobKeeper and pre-JobMaker. So there's another 6,500 available for 25 to 20-year-olds who are principal carers and have been on employment services books for at least 12 months or more. So, look, and even if they don't interact, you want to take advantage of every single subsidy you possibly can. And it just means making the application and going ahead. So the application process isn't that difficult, but you've got to get your application in to be considered, is my point.
Absolutely. Look, fantastic information. If even at the end of this you're a little bit confused, because look, there's lots of different rules and they cross over each other and all that sort of stuff, feel free to reach out to Jesse on Workplace Wisdom. It's on our business portal, easy to find. You can just hunt Workplace Wisdom when you go to brisbanesmallbusiness.com.au, and then you'll find him. You're more than happy to give him 15 minutes of chat to find out if you can help them.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the whole subsidy program is there to help, and we'll clarify the points with you both verbally and by email. And of course, that's all no charge to you.
And it's really important not to think of this as free money, and I feel guilty about taking money from the government, to think about this as the government are really looking to maximise our recovery from the current recession that we are in. And with that, they're offering support for you so that you can recover quicker, be more profitable, and employ people faster.
Indeed. And look, we need to do that because it's going to stimulate the economy at every level. But more importantly, and I talk about these subsidies a lot in forums, don't just employ someone because of the subsidy. First and foremost, strategically think about why you're employing the person and the long-term employment opportunity for that person. So don't just get it for the subsidy. Make sure that person's going to be an integral member of your team for years to come, and then the subsidy will follow. Find all those wage subsidies and grants, and there's other grants as well. There's many grants that you can get from various organisations to help your business. But first and foremost, think strategically about the employment opportunity.
Absolutely. Look, love your work. Thanks for reaching out and finding out how you could help our community. I really do appreciate that. And I'm pretty sure today's discussion will be helping some people. You're going to post up a blog or some content onto the portal, but then share it across into this listing.
Yes.
And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we're offline.
Absolutely. Lovely. Thank you.
Thanks very much for your time.
Dear.